It's lagging, but we're just started though. What is
Okay.
good, everybody? It's your boy Aaron B. You know it's NFL Draft Combine going on. I had to get my guy Justin Shoots back, and we got to talk a little bit about the NFL Combine a little bit. Day one is the defensive line and edge rushers. Some of my favorite because I used to be a defensive lineman, so we definitely got to get into that talk. But how you doing though, bro?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Just trying to get in. You got basketball going on, and then the NFL
Yeah.
Combine is like I'm. I already got a binder already written down in like 2 or 3 pages of like meetings and everything. So I was like, dang.
It's a
So
very exciting time to be a sports fan.
oh yeah, you got the NFL all season going on. NFL basically 365. There's no breaks at all, and then
For
if
real.
you and do basketball as well, it's just but
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure. But the first story I wanted to get into, I always want to start with let's get the bad out the way, and then we get to the good part. So let's get into the thing about Jalen Carter. We knew there was one of his teammates, him and his another staff member to Georgia. They passed away into a car accident, but they didn't fully go into the details about it until like a month later, and then they found out Jalen Carter was involved in the other car, and he was intoxicated, and he ends up getting arrested at the NFL Combine. So I just want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Overall, it's just a very unfortunate situation, and my prayers go out to those affected by the loss and the tragedy earlier this year. When you're talking about Jalen Carter specifically, it's kind of concerning about this news coming to light like right now.
Yeah,
He was supposed to do his interviews yesterday or on Wednesday, and he couldn't. Yeah, he couldn't do it because he got arrested for the misdemeanors. But he turned himself in. He got the bail set, and like he was in and out in like 15 minutes. I just think it's very concerning. All this news breaking out the wrong time, and I think ultimately this could affect his draft stock in a negative way. And as a result of this situation, you could see guys like Will Anderson Jr. and Tyree Wilson's stock, rise as a result from the news.
yeah, it's one of those things you're like, there's still young guys in there and they make mistakes, but this was a bigger mistake on his end. But I think when he honestly can actually like get to talk and everything, I think that give him opportunity. But there's still going to be some teams questioning his character. It just hopefully he learns from this situation because it could have went a lot worse for him. It's a tragedy that his teammate and the young lady passed away, but it just hopefully that's like when it comes to won't have to see those situations again.
Yeah, you're right, Aaron. I completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So our next thing is we're gonna still stick in the NFL Combine, but there's a lot of guys that really stood out today. Like you got the Nolan Smiths and another defensive tackle who's like similar size to Aaron Donald and a lot of guys. But who are like two standouts that stood out to you in this NFL Combine so far?
First standout was Northwestern's defensive tackle, Adetomoe Adebawore. I'm still trying to learn how to pronounce his name.
Oh, you're good.
He shows great capability of playing defensive end or defensive tackle at the next level. He ran a 4.49 40-yard dash. He showed a lot of athleticism today. It's just interesting to see his stock continue to rise throughout the draft process. And then another guy, he's been getting huge round one buzz. It seems for a while now is Luca Van Ness from Iowa. He ran a 4.58 as a 6'5", 275-pound defensive end, and that's just crazy numbers for a guy that size. And I think he's gonna be someone that benefits highly from the combine.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because when you think of Iowa defensive linemen, they're like the blue collar guys, but they're usually running the 4.9s and the 4.8s. And I kind of had that stigma. Okay, this guy's gonna do the same. But then when I looked at film, like, oh, he's different from the rest.
Yeah, he's a big boy for sure.
Sure. So on mine, I got how you're butchering the names. I'm gonna probably butcher it worse. I'm gonna be honest with you. I got Kaja Cansey out of Pittsburgh. He's six
Yeah,
one, 281 pounds, and he ran like a 4.78, and then he ran a 4.67. And I was looking at film before we got onto the show. This guy has excellent hands, and he's just an explosive athlete, and he was a leader on that Pittsburgh's defense. I remember watching him playing against, I forgot who it was. And it just, you kind of could see, like, I don't know if you remember that John Randall. He kind of reminds me of that guy, and, Aaron Donald, of course. But I think he's somebody, I think he's going to be a first rounder because he's rising the stock up from this NFL combine. It just, you
Yeah,
see, yeah.
yeah.
And then my number two guy is, man, I picked all the guys. I'm going to butcher their name. I apologize to both of you. Siaka, Ika out of Baylor. He is
Oh yes.
yeah, he'll think he's 6'3", about sub 360. And you think a guy like that is not like fluid in anything, but watching film and then in watching do the defensive line drill, you see a guy that has like excellent bend for a guy his size. Cause I've seen some of the defensive linemen that are like 50 to 100 pounds less than him that couldn't get around bending and everything. They were just stiff, but this guy was just like, I've been big all my life. This ain't nothing to me. And I
Yeah,
honestly,
he
my
was
bad.
very productive at Baylor, and he was as a Texas fan, he was someone I didn't look forward to,
Oh,
watching play against us, and he gave our offense a hard time for sure. Our O line definitely had to work its it had to
yeah.
put in its effort that day.
Oh yeah. He's definitely a run stopper, but I think he offers still some in the pass rush. And usually in the draft, you get one of those guys, and the rest of the big nose tackles are just run stoppers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this guy offers a lot. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Vita Vea with a little bit more pass rush. And honestly, I wouldn't mind him being a Cowboy if we got him in the second round, but I doubt he's gonna be there. So that's just kind of hopeful wishing. But that's who I got as my standout. I really I need to look at the guy you're talking about, the one from Northwestern. I'm not gonna butcher his name. I'm gonna do.
He was pretty good when I watched him on the 40 time earlier today, and I think he's gonna be a full participant in the other stuff too. So I think
Oh,
he'll test out pretty well.
yeah, I'm gonna probably watch his film. Big Ten guy, so he played against top offensive line talent.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the next guy is we're gonna do a NFL draft profile, and one of the guys he's a UT linebacker, and then he met with our defense coordinator for Dallas Cowboys, Dan Quinn, at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine. DeMarvion Overshown from Arp, Texas, and the fun fact about Arp, Texas, is like 860 people there. So, but he's a how would I describe him? He's 6'3", 229. When you hear that size, you thinking like a safety, but no, he plays linebacker. But he's
yeah.
a former safety. But I wanted you to go first. And how would you describe his game to somebody that haven't watched him?
Man, we used to call him the bandit at Texas because he would, wear all these armbands on his,
Oh yeah,
on his arms. He would be all decked out like 20, 30 armbands, like going crazy. But, he was a pleasure to watch as a Texas fan, man. He was
he was.
he was a key player in our defense for the last 3 seasons, especially. I think he shows great sideline to sideline speed and great upside. Great instincts. He was an important pass rusher in his time at Texas, and he showed great instincts, and those instincts will go hand in hand in this, how he improves in his ability to defend in the pass coverage and drop back very well. I think the main concern is he can add on some weight and muscle onto his frame.
Yeah,
229 is you'd want that to be a little higher as a linebacker and edge rusher coming on in the draft. But I think improvement in run defense also is an area to look at. But overall, I think he's a great linebacker edge prospect in this draft, and someone that he's going to impress a lot of teams. And being a Dallas Cowboys fan and a Texas fan, this would be like a dream come true
yeah,
to watch Overshown land as a Cowboy.
yeah, for sure. Oh, and the Sports PSP said Nolan Smith from UGA made some money. Oh yeah, he did. He,
Yeah.
he ran a sub 5 at, was he like 235 or 240? He's another tweener guy.
I think he finished at 4.39, which
Oh, he
is
did.
crazy. It
Yeah,
is
defense lines.
he'll probably go in the top 15 just after that 40 time.
Oh yeah, he's not just a great pass rush. He also brings stuff in the run stop. So
And he's been great since high school. I mean, he was like the second rated player in his class. Like he's been that dude.
yeah, like I don't know what they're doing at Georgia Tech, but that strength and conditioning coach and that needs a raise. He needs to be high space strength and conditioning
They know
coordinator.
how to recruit. Yeah, they
Oh
know how to
yeah,
recruit.
yeah. So back to Overshawn, where do you see him like in the draft? Like, do you see him as a day two guy, or you see him as a day three guy? Like what
I
round?
think he can, if he has a pretty good combine, he'll probably, get that day two talk. But, you said it right there. You had a good, estimated for him. I think a day two, day three is a good projection for him as of right now. I don't think he had the greatest year this past season. He often got overplayed by Jalen Ford
Yeah,
from Texas. So, I think, round two, day two, day three seems like a great fit for him.
yeah. That this last year they had a lot of transfers and a lot of recruits in it, so he just kind of got in the mix, and they basically he was more of a situational type of guy. And I was watching film of him against OU. You would see him like if you leave him unblocked, he's like a heat seeking missile, and he's just going forward. But when he some of them linemen get to that second level, they just take him out of the play, and you're like, dang, if he can get
I
that.
like that. Heat seeking missile. I like that. That's a good comp.
I appreciate it. I was literally last night just thinking of ideas how to describe how he played, and that's what I seen is. So what'd you call him as his nickname?
The armband bandit.
Oh yeah, he had every band you can get. I gave him another nickname, but I didn't want to say it was Agent Zero, but I was thinking of Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah. DeMarvion Overshown is my mom's favorite player, so he's kind of like he's got that kind of personal impact as well.
Oh yeah, he's a great kid off and on the field. So he's probably I would put him in my third favorite Longhorn player on defense. Michael Huff, back in the days when Earl Thomas,
Yeah.
before all the incidents with him, and then it'd be DeMarvion. Those are who's
Yeah,
your favorite defensive player at Texas?
ooh, I think favorite all time. I really enjoyed watching Deshaun Elliott play when he was at a
Yeah,
safety at Texas. He was just a hard hitter, man.
the Joker.
You could hear his hits. It was that loud. He made an impact, man.
Oh
He
yeah.
just embraced that villain role, and he was ah,
You remember he had the Joker gloves and everything. You would do like this.
yeah, he was clean. I remember he did an interview with the former defensive player. I think it was Michael Huff, and they had a little interview about his the Joker and his just embracing his role at Texas, and it was good to watch. He's with the Lions right now, right?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping he'd come to the Cowboys. It would have been clean having them and Curse on the other side.
Yeah, he's just a good safety, and I think injuries kind of hindered his development a little bit, but he's still very productive at the next level.
Yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing about when it comes to these hard hitting safeties. They get hurt a lot, like shoulder injuries, this chest, and it's like, man, when they're healthy, they like was it Dono that played for the Cowboys?
Oh yeah.
Man, those two guys can hit. But well, I almost lost train of thought for a second. So lastly, it's only day one, so there's still some like you got the receivers, you got quarterbacks, you got offensive linemen, defensive backs. Who are like five guys you're looking at an NFL combine this year?
I'm gonna start off with Washington State's linebacker Dayan Henley. I think he's
Yeah,
just very impressive. I mean, to me, when I look at this guy, he reminds me of Fred Warner. He's just someone I
yeah.
think is going to be really good, and he'll be really good for a lot of teams. And somebody I really want the Cowboys to look at. Um, Another guy is North Carolina wide receiver Josh Downs.
Oh,
For a small, he's 5'10". I think he does not play like 5'10". He plays like he's 6'6". He goes and jumps and gets every single ball. I'm interested in seeing his 40 time. I think he's a very underrated wide receiver talent and somebody that should be talked about as like a wide receiver 2 or 3 in this class for sure. And the
yeah.
last three are all quarterbacks, and I think this quarterback situation is very interesting as we get into the combine. The first one is Alabama quarterback Bryce Young. I think his height announcement will be very important for the whole draft process. But regardless, I think he's the best quarterback in this class. He's just him. He's been that guy since high school. Um, he's lived up to every single moment and expectation at Alabama, and even after this, unfortunate season that he had this previous year, where they lost 3 games, and he was injured for that last part, but he was a really good quarterback and someone I think you put him with a good old line, he's going to be very productive for you. And the other two guys are Anthony Richardson from Florida, uh, super high potential. He's been getting crazy buzz recently for his arm talent, scrambling capabilities. Some concerns you got to look at though is he's 21 and he's coming off a 6 to 7 year at Florida. But with a guy with his tools and frame and stuff like that, it's all about upside. And you got to look at situations where he could best fit in like Detroit or Seattle, where he can sit a year and learn from a quarterback that's already got the spot, like Jared Goff or what's his name from Seattle? What's his name?
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith. There you go. And last quarterback is Ohio State CJ Stroud. I think Stroud, he's an amazing quarterback. He's very accurate. He's a very safe pick. I think regardless of where you draft him, he's going to be very productive and have a pretty good career. He shows pretty good upside. Playing at Ohio State, he had that amazing old line in front of him. So he's not going to get that at the NFL, unfortunately, but I think he'll adjust pretty well. And as of right now, I think I have my quarterbacks ranked as Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis 4. And I think Will Levis would have been somebody who would have really benefited, coming out and testing in this combine. But it is what it is. And I think these three guys are it's definitely the quarterback situation I'm keeping my eyes on.
Yeah, that's what the main thing that's going on. People want to see which ones will be in that ranking. Oh, and before I tell you mine, PSP asked again, what's your thoughts on the Jalen Carter? We did talk about that. Do you still see him in drafted day one? I still think he is, but
Yeah, I think as long as he comes out, the situation's not too bad. I think he will. Talent alone, he's a day one guy. I don't think he'll slip too far. But I mean, it's just something you have to wait and see. We don't have all the news and information out yet. So
yeah, I think I agree. I think honestly, it just when all the information comes out, and if there's like other things going on, I think that's the only way he'll go any lower than day one. Like beside that, I think when he finally gets to talking and everything, that's when we will get a better understanding if there's anything else coming out. It's I'm not comparing it to, but like was it 5 or 6 years ago, Larry Tunsil thing happened in the draft, and you're like, he was like a top 10 player, and then he dropped to I forgot what pick against the Dolphins.
he dropped far. And I just watched the recent TikTok that talked about the impacts of that, incident and how it affected, future draft selections and how teams selected players. And it really shaped up because he was supposed to go as early as 2, I think.
Yeah, it was.
And it just didn't work out that way because of the incident. And as a result, it caused all these guys to get drafted in different spots. And if you went to, it would have resulted in like a situation where certain players would have went earlier based off needs. And I think the what if led to like Nick Bosa or somebody going to Dallas or something crazy like that. But it was a very interesting TikTok to watch.
Hey, I need to check that one out. For
Yeah,
sure.
I'll find it and send it to you, bro.
Okay, appreciate you. So in my top five, I got Jackson Smith Njigba. I want to see how he's a hell of a route runner. And but the question a lot of people are saying is he gonna what's his 40 gonna be? Is he gonna be a sub 4.5? I think he's gonna be in that 4.5 range. I kind of hope it's in that range because maybe there's a possibility he comes to Dallas and we'll have Lamb, and then we got Jackson Smith in that slot, and then we got Gallup.
Yeah.
That'd be a hell of a tandem, and then he's from Dallas, so that would kind of be kind of cool to have the Dallas kid back in Dallas. So my next one is Jalen Hyatt. There's word that he may have one of the best 40s in this draft, and I honestly could see that when you watch film. And then my next one is another speedy guy from A&M, Devon A-Chain, running back. And then he's one of the fastest, I think the 10th fastest track runner at A&M.
Yeah,
So
he was a track star.
yeah, and then people question about him is why is he a 185? But when you think about it, he literally went from football and then training the track. So you can't really keep weight on it if you're doing those two sports. But
Yeah, I think him fully committing to football, you'll see him, get some weight up. And I think regardless, just off his speed, he'll be a hot commodity to come from.
Oh yeah, I honestly see him as kind of like that, kind of how we do Tony Pollard, the guy you can throw the ball into space. He's not going to be that. I don't see him as like a bell cow back. Oh yeah, the receiver Quentin Johnson. Oh yeah, he's nice.
Quentin Johnston, yes, sir. I think he's someone that can definitely benefit from this combine. I think all of his numbers are going to be benefits to his stock. I think he's been going toe to toe right now with like Jordan Addison and Jackson Smith and Jigba for that top wide receiver spot. But I think after this year that he had, Quentin Johnson definitely deserves to be that wide receiver one talk.
Oh, and when you watch him play, he doesn't play like the big guy receiver. He kind of plays like that shifty receiver. Like when he gets the ball, he's going to try to do something. And you don't usually see guys that are like 6'4", 215 play like him too often. So my last one is, I think this guy, he's from Georgia, Kaylee Ringo. I think he's going to
Mm-hmm.
test well when it comes to like the when it comes to the 40, the vertical and everything. And he's built like a safety instead of a corner. My biggest problem is I want to see how he does in the drills, the corner drills. Like how does he flip his hips and everything? Because that was the biggest thing is like he would get burned a lot. And I'm trying to think of the other things. He just
Yeah,
seemed like
Keely's a very interesting player because he had a lot of good up and down moments with his career at Georgia, and there was times where he played very well and like received that top cornerback spot. But then there was times where he didn't live up to his talent, and
yeah.
it was later in those prominent games where he was showing concerns where he couldn't defend at a high level that we thought he could. So these drills at the combine would definitely only help him out in that aspect.
Yeah, because I remember I forgot what it was, the bowl game this year. It was against Ohio State, and he was going against Marvin Harrison Jr. And you
Yeah.
seen where at times he would do really good, and then sometimes he had struggles trying to track the ball. And you see Marvin Harrison Jr. get that touchdown. You're like, dang. It's like hopefully he works on like if they get the right coaches around him, where he help him with his because he's just a raw athlete, but he could be a really good corner. But he kind of shows traits of being maybe he would be better at safety. What do you think about him as a safety?
He's definitely got the physical traits to do it. He's like 6'2". He's pretty big. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested in seeing how he does at the combine. But I think, watching that Ohio State game, you got to feel for him because Marvin Harrison is just a man amongst boys. He's that dude when it comes to wide receiver. He's probably wide receiver one in next year's draft.
Oh yeah, and then having a Hall of Fame receiver dad helps too. So
Oh
he
yeah.
pick his brain. So for sure. But that's all I really have for the NFL draft. But I just want to quick question. We were just talking about basketball. So what are a couple teams you see in March Madness that you think could be possibly in the Final Four?
As a Texas Longhorn fan, I really hope we get there.
Oh
But
yeah,
these past couple games have been a little shaky. I'm hoping we turn that around. We play Kansas very soon. That's a big, big game. Speaking of Kansas, we'll throw Kansas in there too. I think they have a very good starting five. Grady Dick is the best shooter on that team. I think he's probably the best shooter in this draft. You got key guys like KJ Adams. He was a beast at Westlake whenever he played for there.
right.
Um, I mean, that team is just loaded. Houston, very good defensively.
I like
Darius
Houston.
Walker, yeah. Jamal Shed, dude. I played against him when he was at Manor. He is the truth. He was the guy at Manor, and he's still a very, very good ball player at Houston. I think that's a team that can easily go all the way. And I'm interested in seeing Alabama. They got a lot of youth on that team, but Brandon Miller and that squad, man, they can hoop. I'm just very excited for this March Madness run for sure.
Sure. If Texas is not in, I want to see Houston. I just like the way they play.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Me too.
one last question, and it's about the Spurs. If we get that top three overall pick, who would you like to see the Spurs draft beside Victor? I know a lot of people say
Uh,
Victor. Who's another
yeah,
guy?
that top like 3 or 4 is a little shaky right now because I
Yeah,
think the 1 and 2 spot are locked up. I think Vic goes number one, Scoot's going number two, but for that three spot, I think it just depends on like team fit. Like if you need a point guard and you're valuing that playmaker more, then you want to lean Amen Thompson from the overtime elite league, or you're needing a wing score, then Brandon Miller from Alabama is definitely that guy. Brandon Miller shows great upside in production, and I'd probably put Brandon Miller at 3, but Amen Thompson is right there for sure if you want that playmaker.
Yeah, I like that. I think honestly, I kind of hope we do get that first all raw pick and get Victor.
Me too, man. We deserve it. We don't, bro. Houston, Orlando, come on. Everybody else got a number 1 pick already. We need one. Come on.
All right. And then when it comes to Houston, this is their problem. They always get these really talented teams and they just trade everything away. They don't appreciate talent too long.
Yeah, Houston needs to get like a good culture, a good coach, and really develop Jalen Green and Shangoon and all the young talent they got over there. They got a fun squad, but their record's not reflecting that.
Oh yeah, and my biggest worry about them is they're gonna, for some reason, they're gonna trade Jalen Green for some odd reason. You're like,
Oh, that would be a mistake.
yeah, I'm like, because they do stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I had this good squad, just add on to it.
Yeah.
But Orlando, I think they have potential. And
Orlando scares me as
yeah,
an NBA fan because they're already have a good young core. They have a decent team to try to compete for the play-in if they wanted to next year. But they have a really good another draft. They get like Grady Dick or like Keontae George from Baylor, and they add on to that already nice core that they have. I mean, that team is scary. I mean, just think of the possibility of them getting number 1 and them having a chance at Victor scares me because then you're looking at a potential starting lineup of guys that are all over 6'8", 6'9", that can switch on the wing defensively. I mean, that scares me.
so it's reported that the Rockets may get Harden again. Uh,
Honestly, for like watching that as an NBA fan, I think it would benefit the Rockets and
it would.
pushing them back towards the playoffs again. And I think it's something that could it could help out that team as far as like Jalen Green getting more good looks and Shangoon. But I mean, is that really I don't know if that's the direction Harden should be heading in. I think he should be wanting to stay with the Sixers or contending teams and try to make a run at a ring. But if he wants to come back to Houston, he wants to make that team that championship scenario, then so be it.
It would be nice for them, but as this being in our division, I'm like, please, I don't want it to happen. But
Yeah.
it's fun to watch though. But when playing the Spurs, I'm like, don't want Harden back in there because he man, that was a heyday where he'd be getting 30 points a night and just man.
Yeah, Harden definitely gave me some hard nights as a Spurs fan, but
Oh
I still remember that game where Ginobili ended up blocking his shot from behind. Like that was epic.
yeah, I
That was one
remember
of my
that.
all-time Spurs fan moments right there. I was watching that game.
Oh, he said he wants to go to Houston for other reasons than basketball. Oh yeah, all right, no,
Yeah, that makes
we're,
sense.
we're gonna keep it a PG tonight about that one. I already know his reason for going want to come back to Houston. Oh yeah, all right.
Houston be popping, y'all.
Oh yeah, that's the best way to say it is Houston just be popping. There's a lot of stuff to go there. Oh, Thunder's going on in Texas.
Yeah.
But hey, I appreciate you, bro, for being on the show. Definitely got to get you back on.
Yes,
Possibly
sir, man.
one.
It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. So definitely, we'll probably try to get you on, like during when it gets closer to the draft, and then we'll have some talk about a little bit more about the March Madness as well. So I
Yes,
appreciate
sir. We'll
you.
probably, we should do like a mock draft or something next time.
Oh yeah, we can definitely do that. We could do
That
the
sounds good, man.
32 or Dallas Cowboys. It don't matter to me.
Sound good.
Sir, this has been Tacos and Touchdowns. Have a good one. Peace.